Hello, everyone, and welcome to FHP, more formally known as the Football Home Podcast. Hopefully, we get some viewers during tonight's live. Welcome, Andreas. Welcome, Warren.
Hello.
There's going to be plenty to talk about in this Game Week 16 with a surprising City loss and more than a handful of goals between the Tottenham and Leeds game. And also, we're going to be trying to do a little bit of some coverage on the infamous Ronaldo interview. So plenty to talk about in this Game Week 16. Okay, I guess we'll jump on to the first game for the week, which is the City versus Brentford game. I made a prediction last week that something in my gut tells me that this game is going to end in a draw. And literally at the 90th minute, it was a draw. But then obviously, Ivan Toney was able to run away with the goal. Warren, tell us about, not sure if Brentford is still a guilty pleasure, but tell us about Ivan Toney and what
I'm
went
not,
right.
not
Brentford.
sure whether Brentford is a guilty pleasure anymore. They picked one of these yo-yo teams this season. One week they do
Exactly.
great, and then they blank or they lose. So, but Tony came back with a vengeance. Probably mad at Karen Southgate for
Yeah.
for taking him out of the World Cup squad for England, and he came back
Yeah.
with a vengeance. And he was suspended the previous week. He came back and was like, "I've got a point to prove," and he got a brace. And I was like, so pissed at myself for taking him out of my FPL for one. Personally, I was selfishly upset, but as a Liverpool supporter, who doesn't like to see Man City lose? I mean, come on.
Exactly.
But all seriousness, Brentford was just on another level. Like they were pressing, they were doing Man City what Man City was doing to other teams, and it was quite nice to see Man City getting a taste of their own medicine. But no, honestly, even with Holland, they didn't perform. Man City wasn't the Man City that they was at the that we normally see.
Yeah. Also, one thing I noticed with the way Brentford were, how they scored their goals is something that they actually drilled. They have drills where they're trained that whenever they have a cross, they don't just hit the ball into the goal first time. They have to head or pass the ball to a second person and then hit for goal. And it's something that they've been doing throughout their second league competition, and now they're doing it in the Premier League. So it's something that's really working for them. Andreas, what do you think didn't work for City? I mean, even the beautiful full forward goal was, I think a little bit of some luck was involved, but City is quite a clinical team at times. But even with Haaland on, they failed. What do you think that's the case?
Yeah, I think Brentford just had a really really good day, honestly. And there's also a little bit of luck with the very late goal from Tony, but Tony
Yes.
is really starting to become a huge factor for Brentford. And yeah, he's absolutely their main player and their main goal scorer. But it's pretty crazy that City has like 74.6% of the possession in this match and not winning. And like it's just like normally you can say, okay, possession doesn't really matter, but it's a lot of possession and it's just not enough to win. And that's crazy. And that's usually what City's problem sometimes, that like they have a lot of possession, but it doesn't matter if the opponent goes in and then scores 2 goals. And I think, yeah, just like I think City have some defensive problems, and we have talked about that in the past, and that's probably a part of this. But then you can say it the other way. Okay, what about Kevin De Bruyne? What about Holland? Shouldn't they go into and score these goals in these matches? And they didn't do that or make assist or anything like that.
Mm.
So I don't know. I think Brentford just had a really really good day, and Tony in particular really was like, okay, I have to show something, and he did. And that ended up being the win for Brentford, which is a huge win for them, really huge.
Massive win.
That's also
I just want to say,
go on.
no, carry on. Sorry, no, sorry, carry on.
No, go on. It's okay.
No, I just wanted
Yeah.
to say, you mentioned that Brentford had a good day, but I just want to say, touch on some stuff. So ever since the Liverpool loss, not saying that Liverpool crumbled City or whatever, because it was a 1 goal difference, but ever since that loss, I just saw City slipping in standards. Even with the Fulham
Absolutely.
game last week, if it wasn't for that penalty, it would have ended in a draw. And I don't know what's happening with City. Maybe this break is good for them now. They can recharge their batteries and sort out where the problem areas are. Whether it's defensively, whether it's I don't think it's in the midfield at all. I think it's defensively and it's offensively when if you look at it, because Haaland was there. Even last week when
Yes.
Haaland came on in second half, they were still struggling. Even they won with 10 men last week. It's just it wasn't nice to look at when you look at it. It wasn't a beautiful City game like normally City plays, pristine, smooth passing accurately. There's not a lot of mistakes. There's little just here and there's a little bit of cracks, but now it's like there's cracks like in that team. And teams are figuring out how to play against City. They're not the same team that they was last season, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Also with that, like City have 29 shots and only 6 on target. That's pretty crazy. You have 29 shots and only 6 on target. So absolutely right. Like I think defensive there really are some problems, but you're absolutely right, Warren. In offensive there are some problems as well. And I think we kind of saw this in this match. So yeah, just really, really good for Brentford and yeah, really, really good win for them. But they also are an inconsistent team, and like
yes, they are.
At their best day, Brentford is amazing, but they can also play really, really bad. So yeah, just really, really good match for them and not so good for City.
Yeah, and I just think because Christian Norgard is also back now, so I think Brentford is going to start becoming more of a stable team. Just because I think even the commentators commented on it. Now that he's back, he's the one person there that midfield that's going to maybe just stabilize Brentford a little bit so that they're not a bit like all over the show.
Yeah, I guess with that, we'll jump on to the next game, which is the Bournemouth game versus Everton, hosted at the Vitality Stadium. So the only good thing that Everton seemed to have done in this game was just hold possession of the ball. But Bournemouth was just better in terms of offense and defense as well, with the low block and the clearances as well. Massive props to Marcus Tavernier for having an assist and a goal in this game, man of the match. Really, really person that was the highlight of their win in this game. Warren, would you like to tell us maybe what you think went wrong for Everton in this game?
Okay, yeah, I've got some thoughts on this game because I watched the game before that in the week when they played in the Carabao Cup, and it was I even said if you looked at that game, Bournemouth played a B side team. They didn't play their full A squad. Everton came in with the A squad players, and they lost 4-1. Demarai Gray got a goal in the Carabao Cup. And then they had to face Everton again and Bournemouth again in the Premier League on Saturday. And I actually predicted that Everton was going to lose. I think I got it wrong by 1 goal, but I knew they were going to lose just going into that game because Bournemouth had Kiefer Moore on, they have Solanke on, they had 8 star players in that game. And for me, Everton, even though they got that 3-0 win the other day against I think it was Wolves, but Everton they're not clinical enough for me. I feel like that front three or the 4 in the front, even with the white what's his name with Mopé that's now there, I don't think he's delivering anything of substance to that team. Defensively, I think they are doing really well, but only against certain teams. But like I don't know, Everton they're starting to slip again after that wonderful 7 games where they weren't defeated. They got draws and wins. I think they're starting to slip again, and Bournemouth is becoming a team to really look. They lose here and there, but they're becoming a really force because it's not just one person scoring anymore. It's not Solanke that's scoring. You've got Tavernier, you've got Solanke, you've got Kiefer Moore now that's in the goals that weren't at the beginning. So these teams, Bournemouth is figuring out where their strengths are and how to go on the attack against teams, and they're not a team to be taken lightly. And I mean, Everton isn't easy to score against. Don't get me wrong. Defensively they're really solid, but if you can figure out how to penetrate through that wall, then they start to crumble. And I mean, none of those front offensive players of Everton had any impact on the game. that is a lot against a team that just came from the championship. That doesn't look good.
Yeah, just looking at the game, I think just Bournemouth were just really relentless. I mean, most of the goals actually, one came from a set piece, but both goals were like headers, or it was a second ball that actually got in. So there was slightly a bit of luck and slightly a bit of skill to it too. But obviously, to win a game 3-0 with a good defense and attack really shows that they did well. Andreas, additional thoughts on Bournemouth's good win?
Yeah, I think what also Warren says is that's so important with this is that it's three different guys that's scoring, like, and I think that's a huge part of this, that it's not just only one man. It's so many different people. One of those three that scored, Tavernier, also made an assist.
Yes.
Lewis Cook made an assist and not scored. So 4 people were involved in these 3 goals, and I think that's really what is interesting with Bournemouth, that they have this entire team that's doing so well. And I think defensive, I think they also have a decently good team. Don't think they are top team defensively, but I think they're doing a really good job. And yeah, just offensively, really, really good for them. With Everton on the other hand, it's really not going well.
Yeah.
And like, I remember they had that really, really good match. I don't remember against who, but they won 4-1 or 4-0 or something. And I was like, okay, it's going to happen now. Finally, the offensive are going to work, and it has just been so bad since that match. And that's just the story of Everton, both this season and also last season, that it's not good enough. And this season they have had a pretty strong defense, but I think also defense is going to go a little the wrong way. Not a lot, because they still have a good defensive team, but it's just not as strong as it was in the beginning of the season. But with offensive, it's just going the entirely different wrong way, and that's a problem when you have Lampard, that so much of his style of playing is based on offensive and that explosive style of football. That's what he wanted to do in Chelsea. That's the style he wants to play, and also in Everton. The problem just is he don't have those players that's working right now in Everton. So I'm worried that he will be the next one to be sacked. Actually, I think he will, and I think that sucks, because I think he's a great guy.
He's great. Yeah, he's a great player. He's a great coach, but it's like something needs to start clicking. Yeah, something needs to start clicking with Everton. And the team that they beat 3-0 was actually Crystal Palace. I thought it was Wolves, but it was Crystal Palace. So, yeah.
It's really not looking good for Everton, and it's just not good enough when you have such a historically big team. And yeah, it's not good. And but again, great for Bournemouth, and yeah.
I just think that even just one more thing before we move on to the next game. I know Richard is. I think Frank needs to really, if he's still there in January, which I think he will be, he just needs to use the transfer market really, really effectively. He did a good job the last transfer season. He just needs to do a better job. He needs to get strikers in. He can't depend on Calvert-Lewin because he's injury prone. Mopa is not doing a lot. I think the one stable guy there at Everton is Iwobi. I know Richard is gonna put his hair out now, but he's the one guy you see is constantly there, and if he's playing, they're playing really well. And then the defense with Cody and what's this guy's name? Tawaski or whatever his name is, that played for Burnley. But yeah, one of those two and Iwobi. But I really think Frank needs to dip into the transfer market and get solid strikers, even if he has to go to Europe and get people from there. But I mean, I don't know who's going to come to Everton if they're playing this poorly.
Yeah. I guess with that we'll finally jump on to the next game. Obviously, where Liverpool won against Southampton. This game was at Anfield. Ready to talk about my hashtag burner here, says El Nunez, who scored 2 goals, a brace. Congratulations to him. And it's, I think I personally was a doubter of Nunez, but I think his performances recently of constantly him like contributing to goal really shows that this wasn't actually too bad of an investment for Liverpool. So hopefully with time we can actually see him have more impact, especially at times when maybe Salah doesn't come in wrecking in those goals. But another huge highlight is a double assist from Robbo. Awesome. First one was a set piece free kick, and then it was headed in by Fabinho. And another player we need to talk about is Firmino. A lot of people are like, this guy's finished. But look at him. He's been quite a huge player for us, Warren.
Yes, we know I watched this game and I was like, okay, it's going good to get the first goal in, and then when we conceded again, like 3 minutes later, I was like, oh no, there we go again. It's Liverpool. But you know what? I'm telling you, Liverpool is going to be okay. They're going to be okay. I'm not worried anymore. I think we're over that little dry spell that we had at the beginning. It was fatigue. It was, injuries and all that stuff. We had a long preseason, and the season we played, like we've been saying, we've played every single game in the last season of every single competition. So you're bound. They're human beings. I mean, they're athletes, but they're human beings. So they tend to be some. It was bound to happen. And I would prefer it happening at the beginning of the season rather than at the end of the season, because now this is a break. But let's talk about the game. Nunes is scoring. At the stats, he's scoring a goal every 87th minute. You look at the stats. I think you saying you were a doubter of Nunes. I was a believer in Nunes at the beginning. He was in my FPL team until he got that red card and I took him out. I'm struggling to get him back in, but Nunes is going to be a monster. People are praising Haaland left, right, and center, but Nunes, give him some time. He's going to become a monster. He was a monster for Benfica, but I just think that Southampton, with that one goal they got, yes, they got the one goal in, but overall, I don't know. I don't know about Southampton. I don't know. I've been a doubter of Southampton from the beginning of the season. I've been saying they're going to get relegated this time around. They're going to the Championship next season. They sacked the manager, and it's not a good look for a new manager to come in and lose at Anfield. I mean, it's bad. But I will give them some props that at the second half they did fight. They did fight in the second half. Liverpool had to hang on to that that lead, and thank God for Alisson and his newly shaved face. And he kept us in the game. What a godsend! But this is the Liverpool that I'm used to seeing, and I'm happy. I'm calm. I'm calm about Liverpool now. I'm not anxious anymore. So bring on, let's get the World Cup out of the way. Bring Diaz back, bring Jota back, bring all the injured players back. Let's get into the transfer season in January. Get some more, strength in the team. Salah will be back. There's no African Cup of Nations this time around. So, Mane who?
Don't say that. But yeah, Andreas, thoughts on what went wrong for Southampton, especially after sacking their manager and also having a bad result, and what that could spell for their future?
I think with this match in particular, I don't think anything went wrong for Southampton. I think they did a much better job than I expected. They scored a goal against Liverpool, and I would not have expected that. I was really surprised when Southampton scored.
Ward-Prowse as well, yeah.
Yeah, especially that early. And yeah, with Ward-Prowse, like I talked about it last week where I said like he needs to step up, and he made an assist, and so I think that's the one good thing for Southampton right now, that maybe he can start again. Adams can maybe start scoring more goals, so that's a good thing for them. But Southampton is just this season looking really, really bad, and I will be really, really shocked if they don't get relegated. And I think the problem with them also kind of is that, like, I don't know what they can do differently. Like Everton, Villa, this team, it's not looking good, but like Villa can go out and get a great manager in Unai Emery, because Villa is such a big team historically. Everton, it's not working right now, but they still have options. There's still a lot of players that will be like, okay, I really want to play for Everton. Southampton can't really do that because they don't have the history. They don't have all that stuff on quite the level that Everton and Villa have, for example. Southampton, I'm worried for them, and I'm very confident they will get relegated. And with Liverpool, this is just it's going the right direction, and I still don't think they're going to win. I'm sorry, guys, but I don't think they're going to.
Yeah, we know that. We know that winning the league, but we're aiming for top 4.
Top 4, yeah, and I think Liverpool will get that, and that's completely fine. And I think Firmino is really starting to be really good again. It's like he was always the third guy compared to Mane and Salah. So it's nice to see him finally start to have a bigger role. With Nunez, I'm not quite sold on it yet. I can see he's getting really good, and like, goals don't lie. If you score goals, you can't say, oh, okay, he's not good, because goals is what matters at the end. So of course goals lie, and of course he's doing really good right now. But I just need to see it more on a more having more on a more consistent level in longer time than just right now. But he is much better than he was in the beginning. So
I agree.
It's looking really good for Liverpool right now.
Yeah. I guess we'll jump on to the next game. Lots of goals in this game. Beautiful goals, by the way. I just don't know how some of them got in the net through all of those defensive lines. But yeah, Chrysanthia Somerville, who scored against Liverpool at Anfield and gave us kind of a forced loss, especially for Van Dijk. He's scoring again. So maybe he's a player to watch out for. Really huge impact for him. And then in terms of Spurs, I've always said that, with Son lacking, there's always going to be a midfielder contributing to goals, whether it's like Højbjerg or Benteke. And I know Warren of all people is probably happy with one specific Benteke. Quick thoughts on that?
Yes. I was actually shocked that Spurs conceded so early, number one. But Somerville, like you said, he's scored in every single game that he's played after the Liverpool thing. So he's having the time of his life in Premier League football right now. And he's definitely one to watch, and definitely one to watch for your FPL if you now that we've got this unlimited transfers. Maybe he's one of those budget picks that you can put in that's not that expensive and get you some massive points, because he's assisting, he's getting goals, he's really good on the ball, and he's driving that team where Harrison and those people aren't doing it. Rodrigo and Somerville is really keeping leads in the pocket of things. But let's talk about Spurs. Kulusevski is back, so there's that spark is back. They're partnering Kane now that Son is out. And Richarlison started also again. But even with Højbjerg not being really prominent in the team, he had Bentancur that was there, and he was like that 2 late goals. And Spurs loves their late goals. They did it last season against Leicester. So I'm not counting Spurs out. The only thing that worries me about Spurs is that they are conceding a lot of goals now, and it's a problem because they're not as watertight as they were last season. Last season, people feared Spurs. Nowadays, people don't fear Spurs. And I mean, they lost to Liverpool. They came back. They almost lost to Leeds. If it wasn't for that late 2 goals, I really think that Antonio Conte needs to go back to the drawing board with Spurs now that there's a break. Use the players that's not a goal. I don't know why Richarlison was picked for the Brazilian team. He hasn't really done much this season. I'm surprised he got chosen over Firmino. Just looking at the stats, but I mean, I don't know. I'm not an expert, so. But yeah, he needs to really go back to the drawing board. They're winning by the skin of their teeth. Some games they're losing that they should be winning. They're drawing against Chelsea. They're drawing against, they're losing to Arsenal. Says a lot about Spurs. And the Newcastle is above them on the log now, and that says a lot. So yes, they're playing great football, but it's not good enough for a team like Spurs, in my opinion. But when you've got Harry Kane, you'll always have a goal in the net. So that's the positive they can take. They can get the goals in, but they're not being consistent.
Yeah. Andrew's thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I think is really interesting with Spurs is that most of the season we have talked about that they really lacked scoring goals. Like Kane was the only one to score. They needed to score more goals, while their defense was pretty good. And now now they're starting to score goals. Bentancur score goals. Højbjerg sometimes score goals. Kane still score goals. Kulusevski is back making assists, but now the defense is bad and conceding way too many goals. So I think that's just the story with Spurs. When they finally solve one of their problems, it's just in the other end of the pitch that it's starting to go bad. So I think that's just the thing with Spurs right now. But yeah, with like Kane is doing really, really good. Bentancur is really starting to score goals. I think that's what Spurs really needs. That is that they can have more people than just Kane to score and make assists. And again, Kulusevski being back, making assists. I really think they have found the code to have other people also be a part of assists and goals, which is what they really need. So they don't just rely on Kane. But again, defense it's not good enough right now. And then on the other hand, we have the most inconsistent team in Premier League, Leeds. That's just like, again, it's just the thing, like how can you just go out and score 3 goals suddenly? But they just do it. But it doesn't matter when they concede 4, and it's just keep being the same story for Leeds, just so inconsistent. But I think Rodrigo is a really big part of Leeds, and if I have to look at what I think Leeds needs, then it's Rodrigo stepping up for the entire team and yeah, really doing like he did in this match. But even with that, it's not enough, and it clearly doesn't help when you get a red card 4 minutes before full time, which Leeds did. So yeah, with Leeds, like, it's just inconsistent, and I think Spurs were a little bit lucky with this as well, where like if they played a stronger team, they would not have won this match because of the defense. So yeah, good win for Spurs, but a little bit lucky as well, and probably more Leeds being inconsistent than Spurs being great. But yeah, 3 points are 3 points. How no matter how you get them. So yeah.
Okay, jumping on to the next game with West Ham versus Leicester City, also at the London Stadium. Interesting game because West Ham had most of the ball, and somehow they had more chances to score, but failed to convert any of them, while Leicester was just better defensively and in attack as well, even though they didn't have much of the ball. Top star players here: Maddison, Harvey, Barnes, and unfortunately, Yuri Tielemans failed to convert a penalty, but amazing block by Fabianski, and man of the match, who was the Leicester goalkeeper, Danny Ward. Andreas, what do you think went right for Leicester here?
I think Leicester is really starting to become a great team again.
Yes,
really good defensive, really good offensive. Maddison, Barnes being really important for the offensive part and really doing a great job. And yeah, like Leicester really, like, I think the whole season the offensive have been okay, not great but okay, but defense was not good enough, and that's starting to work now, and that's really looking good for Leicester. So I think Leicester's just, they really have their momentum on their side, and West Ham don't quite have that. They're not bad right now, West Ham, but it's not working really well either. So yeah, Leicester just with a lot of momentum, really working with the defense at the moment, and same with offensive. So yeah, really good for Leicester. Can't hear you, Richard.
I don't think he's talking.
Okay.
Yeah. Warren, would you like to tell us your quick thoughts on what went wrong for West Ham specifically?
What went wrong for West Ham? We've been saying that, doesn't matter how many positions you've got and how many shots on target and whatever. What matters is getting the goals in. And that's something that West Ham has been struggling with all season. Let's just be real. I think West Ham should just focus on the Conference League, make sure that they get to the finals, win, get into the Champions League like that, because there's no way. I mean, I think it's a bold thing to say, but I feel like you've got inconsistency, but then you've got, below average. And I feel like, as bad as it is to say this about West Ham, they're not the team that they were 2 seasons ago or last season. And I know we've been saying this about lots of the other teams, but West Ham has been there. They're still in the bottom half of the table. Don't really get that firepower. Where's Lanzini? Where's Fornells? Where is Antonio? They've got all these new strikers. Paqueta. Where is what's the other guy that came from Chelsea? What's his name? I can't get his name now. Yep, out Andres. What was the guy's name that came from Chelsea?
What position?
My God.
I thought like.
Anyway, but there's a guy that came from Chelsea, and he is supposed to be this decent attacker, and he's not getting the goals in. Bowen has been, he's been there for one match, scored a goal in, and then who?
Did you mean Barnes?
No, I'm talking about West Ham.
Oh.
But anyway, yeah. But long story short, I just feel like West Ham needs to sort out whatever is going on the. I don't know if it's on the training ground that they're not getting it together, or miscommunication, or whether David Moyes needs to be replaced. I'm not sure. But Leicester.
Am I guys back? I think there's something wrong with my signal. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. I think with that, we'll just jump on to the next game, which is the Nottingham Forest versus Crystal Palace game. A disappointed look on Warren concerning Crystal Palace failing to lose, perhaps. But yeah, Nottingham Forest has really been doing well, and I mean their goalkeeper has been doing amazing as well. So Dean Henderson, I mean, I'm not sure if he's selected to be the first goalkeeper or is he not.
He's not in the team.
Oh, hectic! That's a huge
Yeah,
surprise.
he was in the 2 games in September. He was in the Nations games, but he's not selected. It's Pickford, Pope, and Ramsdale.
Yeah, I personally didn't watch this game. So Warren, why do you think Nottingham Forest won?
I didn't watch the game per se. It was at the same time that the Liverpool game was on, so my attention was there. But I watched the highlights. Zaha couldn't get a penalty. He missed the penalty, so he got the penalty for Crystal Palace, but he couldn't convert the penalty. So big blow for Patrick Vieira's team there. Couldn't, and the usual suspects is what's the other person's name? Is a Ayu and Mateta.
Yes.
Nobody was really Olise. There was just nowhere to be seen. It wasn't the Crystal Palace that could go toe to toe with Man City and those people. This was the Crystal Palace that lost against Everton 3-0. That was in a nutshell what happened. Dean Henderson obviously amazing in the between the sticks. I mean, how many penalties has he saved this season now? So that's number 3 and 4, I think. So I wouldn't want to be a penalty scorer against Dean Henderson.
Yeah.
At all. But Morgan Gibbs-White for Forest has been really, really a force, and he's proving to be one of their top performers. But even with they won in the Carabao Cup as well, so they moved on to the 4th round there as well. So pretty amazing to see what Nottingham Forest is doing, but they're not out of danger yet, and that worries me.
Yeah. I think with this, it's just again Palace.
Sorry, just
that was Harry.
Yeah, he sent us a video telling us his thoughts. So there'll be. I think I'll just put that on after you're done speaking, Andreas.
Okay. Yeah. So with Palace, I think Palace it's just offensively it's just not working. It's again really inconsistent. Zaha can be great. Like they have great players, but it's just really inconsistent at the moment. And I think that's really the problem with Palace. That they just don't score the goals needed. And with Nottingham, like like when Palace don't score, then 1 goal is enough to win a match, and that's the case here. I think Nottingham just, as Warren said, Gibbs White doing a great job. They score a goal, and that's enough to win when Palace can score goals. So Nottingham going the right way, I think, but it's going very slow. Like I'm still not quite confident in Nottingham, but they're going the right way, and that's all you need when you have teams like Palace that's not going the right way. So yeah.
They need to take Dean Henderson and wrap him in cotton wool and put him in a little box and treasure him, because he's one of the people that's keeping them at bay. Dean Henderson is not there making all those amazing saves. I mean, I don't know what United was thinking letting him go. It was so stupid. But he was always going to play second fiddle to the year. So, but yeah, I think if Forest doesn't give him a permanent deal because he's on loan there, I don't know. They'll be silly.
Yeah. Just on that, I'm gonna show a video from Harry telling us his thoughts. Then we'll just jump back to the next game.
Yeah, Newcastle they're too good. They're just too good, really. It's exciting to see the development at Newcastle and the work that Eddie Howe and co have put in, and it's an exciting time to be a Newcastle fan. I think they will also be ready when the international break comes when it does, because they were in a good run of form. So yeah, I do think that Chelsea actually seem to perform better when they face the top sides than they do when they face lower league opposition, lower opposition, which is really, really strange. Spurs only just got past Leeds. They look shaky, Spurs, but they just have a habit of getting the job done, especially without Harry Kane and Son performing. We know Son's out injured, but Harry Kane hasn't necessarily fired much lately. But it's good to see that they have other players that can step up, the likes of Bentancur and Højbjerg and players like that will get goals for them when they need them. They've really dug them out the hole the last couple of weeks, though the defence is awful. If you look at it. Yeah, Arsenal again Saturday night. Too good, too clinical. They're really showing why they're champions. They beat Wolves pretty comfortably. Don't really know what else to say there. But yeah, exciting times to be an Arsenal fan. United, we got the job done against Fulham. It was always going to be a difficult game, especially with how they put it up to City last week. But yeah, so it's good to see that. Alejandro Garnacho, remember the name, boys. Remember the name, Alejandro Garnacho. He will be a superstar in the next 5 to 10 years. We talked about him last week. Now he got a couple of assists in the Carabao Cup against Villa. He got the winning goal against Fulham. He's unreal, isn't he? He's just a really, really, really class act. And he's going to go places. Will Manchester United be able to hold on to him, or will the likes of Real Madrid come calling? Will he be able to resist it? That is the question. Time will tell, I guess.
Harry was saying good luck to with the rest of the episode. I guess with that, we'll jump onto the game United had against Fulham, hosted at the Craven Cottage. Like he said, Garnacho, Charles Star, man of the match. He will be going places. Hopefully, stays at United to have much of a bigger impact. Andreas, I'm sure you were happy to see Christian Eriksen score a goal. Him being Danish. Thoughts on what you think helped United run away with the win here?
Yeah, Eriksen. I think Eriksen is what helped them win both a goal and an assist. So that's really good right up till the World Cup. So great for us. No, I think United is just a pretty good team. Like I think they're doing a good job, and we have to be honest and say, of course, this is a match they should win. Like a Fulham team that just got promoted. Like, of course, United should win it. So there's not really a shock in that. But like I think that's also what United is kind of good at, to have young guys like Garnacho here come in and score and show that they can do something. And I think that's really what Ten Hag wants to see. Like he wants to see these young guys really stepping up and show that they deserve to be a part of his team. He's not really a fan of the older guys, as Ronaldo will probably agree with. So yeah, I think Ten Hag is just doing a really good job, and I've said that in the past. I think he's the closest United have been to Ferguson, and I think he just keeps showing that, and the players keep showing that. Like the Eriksen, all these guys, they keep showing that they're good enough. And also, like, what's really interesting is, again, a match that was almost ending in a tie, and then right before it ends, United score. And that just keep being the way United do it. They have this mentality. They want to win. They don't want to lose. And they have really scored a lot of goals right before time's up a lot of times now. So really great for United. And with Fulham, I don't know. I think Fulham is doing a good job. But United just is the better team, as they should be when it comes to this. So yeah. Warren, I guess you can talk.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm having connection issues. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear. We can hear.
Can you guys hear me?
I don't think you can hear us.
Warren, just talk.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear. We can hear.
Okay, perfect. Warren, quick thoughts on Fulham. Sorry, I'm having a bit of connection issues here. So
it's fine. Okay, so no disrespect to Fulham, they actually gave United the game. So United didn't dominate it. Let's just be clear. United won, and rightfully so. They got the 2 goals they won. But let's not count Fulham out. They actually gave United a run for their money. I'm impressed with them. I really am impressed. They've shown that even without Mitrovic, they can go out, they can give teams a game. And again, it was a closely contested game, just like the game previous week with City. And they're showing with the big guns, they can go toe to toe with them. Liverpool, they drew against Liverpool. They can go toe to toe with City. They can go toe to toe with Man United. So I wouldn't count Fulham out. I know you didn't say that they're out. They're doing actually well, but United at the end of the day was the better team, and quite deservedly won the game, but only by a smidgen. I think once they've got Mitrovic back, they'll be back to. I know it's the same song and dance, but it's the truth. Once they get Mitrovic back, he's the one that can get that, out of the blue goals from set pieces, and you won't even expect him to be there, and boom, he's got a header into the net. Boom, Fulham is again, and that is what they've been lacking now. But without him, even they're still making up ground. They're still making those runs. How many saves did they have to make this weekend? Just think about it. They've got shots. It's not like they're not creating chances. It's not like they're not going out and getting shots on target and even shots off target. They're getting the shots in. It's just converting them where the problem is. But they're not a run-of-the-mill club like, Norwich last season, where you knew that if Norwich is playing, you're probably going to beat them, or Burnley. You know what I'm saying? So it's different class. It's a different class of championship teams that came up now. Same can be said for Bournemouth now. Same can be said for Nottingham. These teams are fighting for their places in the Premier League. And out of the 3, obviously Bournemouth and Fulham is doing the better job, because Nottingham is still in the bottom 3. But I think once the World Cup season is World Cup is over and Botovic is back with his foot injury cleared, they'll probably be back to firing on all cylinders. But congrats to Man United. That Garnacho guy is going to be a star in the making. He's probably one of the brightest stars coming out of the under 21s and coming into the game and getting his first Premier League goal. That should probably feel amazing for him. And good to see Eriksen in amongst the goals. So regardless of what's happening off pitch with Man United, I think Ten Hag is doing an amazing job. They just give the man props. And let's see what happens in the second half of the season, because it's going to be interesting with the developments now. What's going to happen with Ronaldo in January, and not that it's going to affect Man United, I think, physically on the pitch, but I think mentally this could have a problem for them. Psychologically, I mean, because this behavior like that is disruptive to the flow of a team. So let's just glory, Man United. Yes, there we go.
Andreas?
Yeah, I have a question for you, Warren.
Yes.
What do you think the match would have ended if Mitrovic was playing?
I think it would have been a 2-2 draw.
Okay.
I think that was the one thing, because Fulham is clinical. Don't get me wrong; they're clinical. They're a clinical team. They can play clinical. They're one of the few teams in the Premier League that's very, very clinical, and they're not afraid to press. They're not afraid to go after the goal. They're not afraid to make those runs. They're not afraid to attack. They'll get those yellow cards. They'll get those red cards, but they'll get the goals in. They're not a run-of-the-mill club where, like Forest, who gets one goal in. It's just that they're lacking that firepower, that extra bit of firepower at the end to get them over the line now. But I think I predicted it would have been a draw. So that's what I think. It would have been a draw, and it would have been a point for Fulham as well. But they're not doing bad. They're doing okay. They're not doing great. They're not doing bad. They're doing okay.
Yeah. I was thinking we actually try cover the Ronaldo interview issue after it's actually aired. So I think we'll chat about that on Friday when Harry's actually on the call too.
Yes.
Looking forward to what beans he spills in that interview. I heard he's going to be having a fine for that as well. But quickly, we'll jump to Newcastle versus Chelsea game. Andreas with a little bit of an embarrassed smirk on his face. Andreas, tell us what do you think went wrong with your team here?
That's a good question. What didn't went wrong?
Everything.
Everything. What didn't went wrong? No, I think we aren't in like. I think it's important to remember that it has been some really, really difficult teams, and we can't ignore that. Like, we can't ignore it. It's not an excuse, but it is difficult teams like Arsenal, Newcastle, City in Carabao, Brighton, the team that knows Potter the most. It is not easy matches, but losing is losing, and it doesn't matter who you're losing to. And when you're Chelsea, you should be able to beat and face the big teams and at least get draws. So it's not good enough. And what's really frustrating for me is that it's only 1-0 matches. Like, it's so annoying that we because I don't think we are playing bad. Like, I think midfield we are doing decently job, but defensive it's not good enough. We don't score the goals needed. And it just doesn't work. And I think it's just the entire mentality in the team that's not working. The offensive players are not clinical enough. They don't have the confidence enough. The defenders don't know what to do. They don't know how to defend correct. Again, I think midfield is doing an okay job, but everything else is just not good enough. And it's just so frustrating, only losing with 1 goal. Like, I rather kind of just lose 3 goals to really know that, okay, we are not good enough.
Yeah.
Harry, come on this with you want to talk. No, I think I think that's the annoying part, that like I don't think we're doing that bad. Like, I really think it's okay. It's just not good enough, and so frustrating. So I really can't wait to face some smaller teams, and hopefully that will be good enough. but yeah, it's not good enough, and I think that's just the thing. Like, it's not good enough. It's not consistent enough on the offensive and the defensive, and that's what you need. Like, you can have the best midfield in the world. I don't think we have, but you can have that. But it won't do anything if you don't have the players to score and if you don't have the players to defend. So yeah, not good enough for us right now. And Newcastle, on the other hand, is just doing a great job. So great for them and really bad for us. Yeah. I think we chat froze again. Well, and you can just talk.
Okay. I guess I need to talk about Newcastle. So this is weird. So I'm just saying, you lost 1-0 to Newcastle. That's actually an achievement. It's glad it wasn't worse than that. You know, it could have been worse. With Ray Richard is gone. But anyway, so I just think that I think Chelsea. I don't know. I mean, where was Aubameyang? Where was Sterling? I know Sterling was at home. He was ill, so he didn't travel with the team. But this sounds like excuses. And I just think that Newcastle is just a big force right now. And they haven't been beaten besides by Liverpool. So this is... I wouldn't take a lot away from this loss if I was a Chelsea fan, but in the grand scheme of things, I just think that Chelsea there's some problems. I think Potter needs to sort out structurally what he wants from the team, because right now it feels like everybody's all over the place. And I think that I'm missing Mount. He was the top scorer for Chelsea last season, and he scored like in one game twice, and he's like Bowen this season. He's there, but he's not there. And Newcastle on the other end, they've got Almiron, they've got Chris Hood, and they've got Bruno Guimaraes, and they've got all these strong players. You know, Willock scoring, Trippier carrying that team. It's just, if you compare the two teams, Chelsea should have won. This is games Chelsea should win. If you like a top 3, top 4 team, and I feel like you should win the small games, but the Chelsea of last season, they were unstoppable, and I'm worried for Chelsea a little bit, not heavily, but a little bit, because the team that people were saying Liverpool is struggling is above Chelsea on the log right now. So I'm just saying, but again, against Newcastle, 1-0 isn't that bad.
Yeah, and I also think that's a really good point. Like, with how Newcastle are playing right now, they are better than us. They are. There's no doubt Newcastle is the better team. Arsenal, a better team than us, first place in the league. But that's what is interesting to me, that we are only losing with 1 goal to those teams, and that's the thing. But that's somehow more annoying, because I kind of rather want to just get completely destroyed by them. So like we did by Brighton, because then we know there's something more.
But my question to you is: do you think Potter is doing a good enough job with the way that he's structuring the team? Because I feel like most of the problems for Chelsea is coming with the formation and the people that is putting on the pitch. I feel like that, because you've got strong quality players in that team. Let's not get it wrong. I know Chelsea's got injuries. I know they've got problems with the players. But like you always said in the past, injuries shouldn't be a problem for a team like Chelsea, for a team like Liverpool, for a team like Manchester United. The squad depth is there. My question just is Potter the right person for Chelsea? In your own humble opinion.
I think so. But like it's a difficult situation, because I can say, oh, I think he's great and all this kind of stuff. But when you go out and lose 4 matches in a row, then my opinion on him being great doesn't really matter. Like, you get what I'm saying?
I just think what I think is, so I know we on this topic for long. I'm sorry, Richard. I know we pressed for time, but I just feel like it's important for us to talk about stuff like this, because you see Jurgen Klopp is changing the formation, but he's not this drastic formation change, but if it works, you can stick with it. But if you see that your formation changing is not working, then obviously you need to go back to the drawing board. And you can't have people like Aubameyang sit on the bench when you're playing Newcastle. That's just I don't know what he was thinking. Maybe he was disappointed with Aubameyang against Arsenal that he didn't really deliver. But I just feel like you can't against Newcastle. You can't be playing, your run-of-the-mill players. You need to put your full squad out. And I feel like Sterling should have played. I know he was sick, but Aubameyang should have played. You shouldn't have started Brozier. You should have, there's stronger players that can convert those goals. But I just feel like even with the striker that Chelsea have, why didn't they use this striker? That's just questions that I've got. Like if I was sitting in the managerial seat, I was like thinking, why isn't Chelsea playing the striker that they bought for that same reason to convert goals against a team that is difficult to beat?
I think I agree with you. I think there's two sides to it. I think there's the third side that is like the first side of it that like I can agree. I don't think he's playing them the right way. I think he's making some mistakes in it. I think he's making, and it's kind of the same with the United match where he made some mistakes that United played so good. He was able to change it, but like that was 30 minutes into the match. So I agree there are some problems there. But the other thing for me is that I don't think, no matter what he played with, I don't think we would have won the match. I don't think right now the players are confident enough. I don't think they have the mentality.
Yeah, so I think the clinical aspect of Chelsea isn't there. Sorry to interrupt, but it isn't there. And I just feel like Mount should be up front there scoring the goals. Aubameyang should be there scoring the goals. You know what I'm saying? Where are those people? And I just feel like sorry, I know we've been on this topic. I'm sorry.
But like that's what I feel like with like easily he's making some mistakes. Potter is easily making mistakes. I'm not saying he isn't because he is, but I just can't see what formation he could have played with that would have changed it. That's my thing, because I think the players, and that's probably his responsibility as well, that they are not confident enough. He has a part in that as well, but I just think the players in general are not strong enough right now. So no matter what he has played with, I don't think we will have won. Aubameyang is not looking strong enough. Mount is not looking strong enough. Sterling is not. Like, I think it's the entire team just not looking mentality strong enough. And he's like, Potter is probably a part of that, but I just can't see what he could have played with that would have made us win the match. So there's two sides to it.
It's a difficult situation, yeah.
It is. And therefore the transfer window is really, really important.
Really important.
Yeah.
Sorry, Richard.
I guess we'll jump on to the next game, which is the Brighton versus Aston Villa game. Warren, quick thoughts on what went right for Unai Emery here?
Wow. Get out of town. Are you kidding me? What's happening? What's happening with Aston Villa? Okay, so I'm actually liking this now. I'm thinking Villa is not dead in the water. They actually have a chance now to stay afloat and not be teetering down at the bottom. Even though the table is very congested, let's not get carried away. But I think they're going in the right direction. He's playing the right people. He's making the right moves. He's putting I just feel like even between him and the new manager and the interim caretaker that was their last week against the United game, they're just doing. I mean, they beat Brighton. Come on.
Yeah, of all teams, yeah.
Brighton and United. They win. I mean, I think maybe Steven Gerrard was the problem. Let's just be real. Maybe it was Gerrard. Let's just put it out there. Maybe it was Gerrard that was the problem. Because since Gerrard has left, things have been going great for them. So, I mean, we always say when a new manager comes in, let's give it 2 games. Let's see how it's going to do. But it has been 2 games, even though it was 2 different people leading them. But if they can adapt to management style that good, go out and get results. 2 against 1 against Brighton. I mean, Danny Ings was on fire. Let's just they didn't have Watkins. Danny Ings was there. He was creating goals. Douglas Luiz was on fire. Like, this is the Villa that we want to see play. This is the type of football we want to watch from Villa. Villa is a strong team. This is Villa is a team that beat Liverpool 7-2 at one stage. Let's just be real. And I said Trossard was gonna blank. I said it the whole weekend, and people were laughing at me, and I was like, Trossard was gonna blank. Oh, he's gonna get a hat trick. He's gonna get a hat trick. Just you see. But anyway, I'm blown away. I think Aston Villa should just keep on doing what they're doing. Keep drinking the sports drinks that you're drinking now while you're doing the training, and doing what you're doing on the training, and go out there and do what you're doing, because I think that overall they've got Luca Digne back. They've got all these strong players back. Coutinho's not even there, and they play great. So I think the future's looking okay for Villa. The future's looking okay for Villa. And I mean, let's not take anything away from Brighton. They're a solid team. Let's just say that Brighton had a bad day.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. Go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say both teams had 2 shots on target, and then Brighton had most of the possession, but still Aston Villa were able to run away with the win. And maybe the penalty contributed to maybe Brighton not maybe running away with at least 1 point. But I was specifically worried for Aston Villa after that Carabao game, and I know it's a different starting lineup against the same strong United team they faced in the Premier League. So it was like maybe Unai Emery
because it wasn't the A squad in the Carabao Cup.
Yeah, so maybe that's why. But yeah, Andrea's thoughts on why Brighton couldn't run away with at least 1 point here.
Yeah, I think the story with this match is that Brighton did do a good job. Like, they scored in the first minute. That's pretty impressive. I think Brighton is going the right way, and I'm not really worried about Brighton. Again, score a goal in the first minute. That's pretty impressive. I think the story with this just is Unai Emery, the king of the Villas, and like, he has just been doing a really, really good job so far. I think what's really interesting for me with the match is that Villa had 7 yellow cards, and usually you will go like, yeah, they had 7 yellow cards, Villa, and usually you're going like, okay, that's not good. But when I see it, I see, okay, this is a manager that comes into with, he wants to play this type of football. He wants to play tough football. He don't care. He wants them to be aggressive. And I think that's something you really see in this. So yeah, really, really impressed with him. And I think he's the absolutely right one for Villa. And like, I think just Villa and Brighton are 2 teams that I'm really, really, how can you say, a fan of right now, because I think they both found the right managers for them. Brighton with their new manager finally playing the way he wants to play. Villa with their manager, a really, really strong manager in all of football. What a great signing for them, and really showing that he's doing a great job as well. So we are really impressed with both teams, and I think at the end of the day, Villa and their managers just a bit stronger. Like, Unai Emery is a top manager. He really is.
And they're facing Liverpool next. Good luck to us.
Yeah, they have our star boys. They have Coutinho, they have Ings. All these players that were once our glory boys. But who knows? They've beaten us massively before. Hopefully, it doesn't happen. We'll see. But last game we're going to.
They won't. Diaz will be back. They won't.
Who knows?
I think that's quickly. That's also a thing that I think is really interesting with this season. That there's so many teams not named top 6 that's actually really, really doing a great job. Like, I think that's really, really interesting. Newcastle, Brighton, Villa starting to now. I think, like, there's always these great teams. There are always West Ham and Leicester and these kind of teams. But I think this season they're just that much stronger. Like, Newcastle, Brighton, they are actually serious contenders for top 4. And I think that's what's really interesting this season.
Yeah. I'm going to jump on to our last game, which is the Wolves versus Arsenal game hosted at the Molineux Stadium. I don't know. Wolves tried to score. I'm not going to lie.
they really, especially at the beginning of the game, they tried to put in those attacks, counter attacks. I guess it's a lack of clinicality and maybe good blocks from the Arsenal goalkeeper, Ramsdale. But it's just so unfortunate they couldn't at least score one goal. But at least I'm happy with how they've improved in terms of the ability to try to attack here. But big props to Martin Odegaard. 2 goals. He literally came out of nowhere and is in the scene, winning games for Arsenal. And a huge topic to talk about is how many times has Jesus been so close to scoring a goal and literally it hits the bar or it's offside, or like what's happening there? Like, it's been so long. Warren?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really want to talk about Jesus because he's like, we're spending so much time talking about him, and it's the same thing every podcast that I don't know. I don't know if it's a psychological thing or what it is, but he just cannot.
Trying.
He's trying, like, not for lack of trying. He
Yeah.
is trying hard to get the goals in, but he just can't, get his foot over the line, so to speak. It's always this close. And he's becoming like Nunes was like at the beginning of the season, where he kept on hitting the ball and he can't get the goal in. But it's been going on for like 9 games now. It's becoming worrisome when you sign somebody on to get goals for you. But who knows? Like I said, this break is gonna do a lot of teams a lot of good, and maybe he comes back and he's gonna be some force to be reckoned with. But Odegaard, top notch. He's proven that when Arsenal is struggling to get goals in, he'll be there and he'll convert the others goal in. But props to him and props to Martinelli for the assist. And I just think Arsenal is on another level, and I know a lot of people say to me that, oh, maybe Arsenal might not really get over the line, but they're doing what they need to do to stay on top. And I mean, they're 5 points adrift of City, so they opening that
Just
gap.
someone is knocking.
Cool.
But you guys can continue on.
Yes. And I think that they are just proving that they are a force to be reckoned with this season. I still believe that they will finish in the top 4. But I have good feelings about Arsenal. But they need to face City twice still. They need to face not Spurs. They need to face, I think, United. No, they already faced it, but I think they need to face City twice. And Chelsea, I think. So let's see what happens in those games, because it could prove to be a tougher second half of the season for Arsenal, because they had relatively easy fixtures in the first half. So let's see what happens when the second half of the season kicks off on Boxing Day. But Wolves, I've been saying it from the beginning, like, they need German. I know he's been in training, but he hasn't really started. They need him back ASAP. Him and Neto. They need to come back, because they can't depend on Neves. They can't just depend on Neves and Guedes to get the goals in. So I just think that's once the injury, the people come back from injury for Wolves, they'll be good. And I think a lot of things is going to be interesting after this World Cup. So I actually want this World Cup to come and go so that the season can start again. And it's going to be interesting, because a lot of the injured players are going to come back, and that's going to be a game changer for a lot of teams.
Yeah, I think I'm going to answer your question a bit, Richard. I think Arsenal is doing a really good job right now, and there's no doubt that they should win this match and deserve to win the match. And I think with Wolves, it's just not looking good enough. It really isn't, and it's a lot of the problems really is in the offensive for them. There's also problems in the defense for sure, but it's just a problem for Wolves that they can't score the goals, and Costa is definitely not working so far. Neves has been pretty good actually, but he didn't score in this match, and that's clearly not good for them. I like Wolves really have some struggles in their offense, and I hope for them that after the World Cup that they can get the players back and maybe they can start scoring goals, because it really is where Wolves have some problems. And
they're currently at the bottom of the log.
Yeah. And it's really something like, if they want to survive, they need those players to come back and score.
Yes.
Yeah, it really like it. I think Wolves is probably the team to be most worried about right now in Premier League. Maybe there's a few others, but at the top of my head, Wolves is the one I'm most worried about because I just don't like. I don't know what to do except getting those players back to score. Like I really can't think of anything else that can solve this. And like when you also come back from injury, you can't just expect to come back and just like there will be some of the injured players that's not working from the moment they come back. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see if they can survive. And again, Arsenal just doing a really good job.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. What if Odegaard wasn't playing? Like, would Arsenal still have found a way to win again? Because it was like the battle of the best team and the worst team. But it seemed like one person had a huge impact in terms of them winning.
I think they would have.
Yeah, Arsenal has had a few like disappointing results, like either draw or something. So maybe also they're having some sort of fatigue on their end. Thoughts on that, Warren?
No, I don't really think so, because if you look at the way that they've played this season, they actually haven't had really a lot of draws. They've had one draw, and they've had one. Have they lost? I think they lost once against United.
Yeah.
So they've got one draw and one loss. That's the best in the whole league, because I think they are par. They're on par with Newcastle, because Newcastle has a couple of draws against them. Yeah. So on paper, Arsenal is doing it. They're doing what they need to do to get the gap between them and the other teams. Like I said when you were away, they still need to face City twice, and that's going to be their biggest test, because City knows Jesus, City knows Zinchenko. I think that is going to be their big test, and they're going to face them twice in the second half of the season, because their one game got postponed. So that could be the make or break for Arsenal. But on the other hand, City's not doing that great defensively. So who knows?
Exactly.
You've got Arsenal getting Nelson off the bench, and he's getting 2 goals in, a guy you didn't even know existed. So I'm just saying, Arteta's doing some magic there in the background.
Yeah,
His age-defying magic that he has there in his gene pool, and he's throwing it, sprinkling it all over his players. That's why they've got the youngest squad in the league.
exactly. Who knows?
Yeah, I think to your first question, Richard, with what was it?
If Arsenal is going to win. If Arsenal is going to win the league.
Yeah. What would have happened if Ødegaard wasn't playing? That was one of your questions. I think so. I think against Wolves, I think Arsenal will have won. But if this has been Leicester, maybe let's just say Leicester, and Ødegaard was such a big part of the win, I think. I don't think Arsenal would have won if it was Leicester. But I think Wolves is just too bad right now. So if Ødegaard hasn't been playing, someone else will have scored at least a goal. But against a bigger team where you rely so much on Ødegaard, for example, you will not have won. But in this particular case, I think you will have won. And to the question about Arteta being the secret sauce, I don't know. Like, I really don't know. I just don't see it. Like, I really don't see it. And I think it took so long. Like, it happened now. Arteta is doing a really good job right now, but it took so long time. Like, we have to remember he was manager at the same time of Solskjaer being manager in United, and that's a while ago at this point. Lampard was even our manager, I think. So that's a while ago now, and Arsenal have just been looking bad for a couple of seasons where Arteta was there. So I don't think he was the secret sauce, but he really I think he just needed to get some time with team, and he has gotten that now. And Arteta is a much better manager than I ever thought he would be. But I don't.
And it's also. Yeah, I think it's also the players that they've got this season. I think that's the difference. That's the difference. That's the secret ingredient in his sauce. It's the players that he's got. Because those players are, if you look at Arsenal, I actually look forward to watching an Arsenal game, because I know it's gonna be a top-notch game. And that's how I felt about City. That's how I felt about Chelsea last season, watching them. But I get excited for Arsenal games now because I know there's going to be goals of pressure. There's going to be, lots of shots on target. There's going to be a boring snooze fest game, and I hate 0-0 game. I hate it. I can't stand it.
Yeah. I think
just left again.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point with it. Like Arsenal, the last couple of seasons when they played, you just looked at the players and they looked like they didn't even want to be there. Honestly, like they just looked so tired and looked like they were angry and frustrated with.
I definitely. I just think they've got the squad that's right now, because if Odegaard isn't there scoring, Saka's gonna step up, and Saka's gonna step up. If Saka doesn't step up, it's gonna be Martinelli, and if Martinelli doesn't step up, then it's going to be Xhaka, or it's going to be even Gabriel and Jesus and all those people. So they've got so many people in that squad that's just at the right time, at the right place at the right time. So I don't think it's an issue. Yes, they would have struggled against a team like Leicester, because Leicester is very difficult offensively to get through. But I don't think Arsenal. I think the biggest test is going to be City.
Yeah, I think like what I mean with the Leicester game just is that in this particular match against Wolves, they relied so much on Ilgo. And all teams have matches where you rely on one guy, like
on one person to get you over the line. Yes, I understand.
Everyone has that, and I think just in this particular case, Arsenal survived because they were playing Wolves, but they would not have survived if it was Leicester, for example. But like every team has that, like, and we have to remember, just because you're a big team, you can still face other great teams and still lose. Like City is facing smaller teams than them, but still losing. That happens to every team. But yeah, I think Arsenal is doing a really good job right now, and I think a really good point with it is that like the players just really, as you said, like they really look like they want to play. They look like they really want it. And I think that's something they have been lacking in the past. Can you hear me?
Yes. No, yes. I can hear you. So I was just answering a message in the chat.
Yeah. Okay.
So no, I definitely think that it's going to be interesting going into this next half. It's going to be, especially with those postponed games. Also, you've got Carabao Cup, you've got FA Cup, you've got Champions League. It's going to be stressful, because if you look at how the Premier League, there's like a couple of weekends and midweek, like there's going to be very little downtime for training and that stuff. It's going to be super duper interesting. And then, like we've been saying, the table is so congested. Between the people that's 13th and 14th, they're like 6 points behind people that's 7th and 8th right now. So one win or one bad game and 2 wins for the team that's at the bottom, and suddenly they're above the team that was better than them for 5 weeks. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how it plays out. But this World Cup is going to have a big effect on them because of the fatigue and so the best thing for it sounds bad, but the best thing now is that if your team falls out early, you're kind of lucky, because you
have players that's not in the World Cup, or have players that's
that's in the World Cup. The people that's in the World Cup, the best thing for you, for a manager now, would be like, please, dear God, let the country just fall out and don't make it further than final 16 or whatever, or to the knockout stages or whatnot, so that I can get my team back in. Because I think there's a lot of summer, there's a lot of break games coming up as well now. So it's going to be super duper interesting. With the World Cup fatigue coupled with people coming back from injury and the congestive, scheduling of games, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, Champions League, Premier League. It's gonna be massive, and you've got postponed games as well that still need to be crunched in because of the Queen passing, and then railway strikes and all those stuff.
Yeah.
So it's going to be super duper interesting.
Yeah. Like I think in some ways you can of course say that it's better to have your team
fall out early in the World Cup. Yeah.
but that there is the other thing of like if you go on and win the World Cup, you will have so much motivation to go back into your league season and do a great job. So there's of course many things to it, but I think what's also really interesting for me is the January transfer window, because I think this window will be so much more interesting than it usually is, because there's so many teams in Premier League that rely on this transfer window.
Come home, Jude Bellingham. Come home to Anfield. Come, we are waiting for you.
Oh, money team.
but
we're
like,
coming.
Usually,
come.
usually there's a good amount of teams that like they already have what they need. But I think with this transfer window, there's a lot of teams that don't have that. Like they need more players. They need to get stronger, and that's going to be really interesting.
And definitely the World Cup, in the managers and stuff is going to watch the World Cup and see who they can snag and bring over to their teams in January. So it's going to be very, very interesting. That's one thing that I'm looking forward to see how these players are doing and who's actually going to start games, and pray to dear God that not more people get injured, because I'm so over the injuries this season. Like, it's the theme of the season is injuries.
Yes.
It's massive and it's bad.
Yeah. I guess if there isn't much more to say, it's been a weird day for me in terms of internet connections and stuff like that. Hopefully we're much better on the next episode, which should be on Friday. To the people that watch the podcast, thank you, Henry, for the few comments and video from you. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Hopefully this channel grows as like one of our New Year's resolutions, because we're coming to that like end of the year. So looking forward for us reaching our 20th episode. That should be soon. And yeah, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, Warren and Andreas, for joining the call today. And yeah, see you guys on Friday.
Cheers.